Good morning, friends. Welcome to Banking Conquer IT. Today, we are going to discuss the OSI model and how each layer communicate to each other. Okay, so we will discuss today the basic concept, the foundation of the OSI model. Okay, I'm not going to explain each layers, but this video will help you to build your foundation for the OSI model. Before going any video of the OSI model, you should know what exactly the OSI model, how each layers communicate each other, why we need these layers. Okay, so before wasting our time, let's start discussing one by one. Okay, so we have a network model. Who has proposed the network model? Okay, there is a OSI. Okay, some exams they have many. Some exams I can say the small exams. Okay, they ask the what is the full form of OSI? Like Open System Interconnections. Okay, basically RRBs they ask a computers. Might be they ask this full form of that. Sometimes they ask. Okay, so you should know what is the OSI, Open System Interconnections. Okay, that has been proposed by ISO, International Standard Organization. Okay, that will enable the communication between the different system. Okay, just like we have a multiple system, right? How we are sending data from one system to another system, how their communication happen. Okay, so it will enables how it will enable based on some conceptual model. Okay, that represent how the network communication work, how this network different machine devices in a one network, how they communicate to each other. Okay, so what it exactly it will do, open system interconnection model is a conceptual framework. It's not going to help you to communicate, but it is a framework that define the protocols that has to follow each layer to make the communication. Okay, that will divide a network layer into seven, a network communication to seven layers. Okay, there are seven layers. Okay, what are the seven layers? Okay, this question has been asked many exams. Okay, okay, how many layers are there in OSI model? Okay, there are seven layers. Application layer, top layers, and physical layers is a lowest most layer. Okay, application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, and then data link layer. The good thing what you need to learn, guys, here is what exactly each layer do. Okay, I have seen many exams, they have asked direct questions about these layers. Okay, and what will become if I talk about the FTP, SMTP, STTPs, how these requests happen. Okay, and in which layer they are belong. So there are multiple protocols are there in each layers. Okay, and what exactly these protocols will do. Okay, you have to know like what is HTTP will do, what is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, what is FTP, SMTP, what they exactly do. These questions has been already asked in IBPS SO IT and other different exams, so you should know what exactly the meaning of these two. Okay, then we have a TSL and SSL. Okay, presentation layer, then session layer is socket to create the session. Okay, secure layer for encryption, decoding, and compressions. We use for presentation layer, session layer for logging. Okay, because many layers, many applications does not require session. Session is it's like suppose you are logging to the Facebook. Facebook, if once you log in, it won't ask you the ID, right? If you don't log out. But if I have talk about the critical applications, okay, just like banking applications, if you are using the mobile banking, internet banking in any way, once you log in within, if you're not active in that session, after some times, after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, your session will log out immediately. Okay, you have to log in again because those are the critical application. If anything happen, that might be possible, like your money will be get deducted from your account. Let's like IRCT website. If you are not active, then immediately after some times your session will be log out automatically. Okay, then we have a TCP. We have a transport layer. In that it will confirm you how data is transferring, whether it require a secure transfer or it require a faster transfer. That will help you TCP and UDP. Okay, then the layers, we have a network layers in IP, ICMP, and IPsec. This what exactly this will do, guys. I'll explain each layer separately, but I'm just giving you the overview. These lines, each layers. Okay, the network layer will make sure how your packet is getting delivered to the your destination address. Okay, so this will give you the best possible route to send the package from sender to receiver. Okay, then data link layer. Data link layer basically we use for that to for sending of frames. Okay, but here we also making sure if we are sending a data in a frames, data should be error free. Here we use a crc check redundancy. Okay, so to make sure data is error free, we are identifying the errors. Okay, and then physical layer. Here basically we are using like physical physical connections like fibers. Okay, optical fibers to send the data bits. Here it will send to the electrical signal. Okay, and then it will directly transfer to the sender to receiver. Okay, this is what exactly the layer is, guys. Okay, and how this layer communicate to each other, how application layer communicate to presentation layer, how presentation layer communicate to the session layer, transport layer communicate to the network layer, and how these layers are communicate. Okay, so those things we will start learning. Okay, and how, what are the protocols available. Okay, what protocols we need for application layer, presentation layer, and session layer. Okay, those things we'll learn later, but today we will discuss very basic concept and foundation of the OSI model. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I told you, right, we have a 7 layers. Okay, and if you read the open systems, it's just like written what is the purpose of this layer. Okay, it is some kind of protocols that allowed different layer to communicate. Okay, the different layer, I can say a different system. So open systems, like two devices are there, two computers are there. If I sending one data to another computer, one data from one computer to another computer, so how the communication happen. Okay, this is called an open system. Then purpose to facilitate the system communication without modifying hardware and software logic. Okay, and structure comprise 7 layers, and each layer defines specific part of information transfer. Okay, whatever I told you, right, this is written. Okay, so see here, if you see this OSI model, you will see these what is this data, data, data. But inside data, when we go from up to down, something is getting added here, right? What does exactly this mean? So if you see this A define the application, and yes define the header. So once you go from up to down, every layer add their headers into the file and then transmit to the next layer. Okay, what exactly this is called actually the encapsulation. Means we are adding the layer information, layer header information. What exactly the header information will do? Okay, I'll explain you what is this. See, every, like, this is the application layer header. Okay, application layer header is also there, but when you go to the presentation layer, you will have the PH presentation layer, session header, transport header, network header, and data link layer header. If you see data link layer header and data link layer T, what is this means? This is T means trailer. What this trailer will do? Here we are adding the trailer also after the data. Trailer is nothing, just we are adding an extra bit for the checking the errors. Okay, I'll explain you when I'll start explaining the data link layer. Okay, some people has told me to explain in English. That's what I'm guys explaining in English only. Okay, so we have a physical layer here. Actual data will get transferred. Okay, that will form of the bit. So let's start one by one. Okay, what is the peer to peer and what is this communication happen? Okay, how this? See, there are two devices, devices A and devices B is there. Okay, what is this peer to peer communications? How communication happen, guys? So peer to peer means when in two devices, when the application layer communicate to the one device application layer communicate to the other device application layer. Okay, this is called peer to peer or point to point communications, I can say. Point to point is not, it's like same as, but peer to peer is more accurate. Okay, to talk about how these two same layers communicate. Okay, the communication happen presentation to presentation layer, one device to another layer. This is called the peer to peer, network to network, session to session, transport to transport. Okay, so this questions has been asked. Okay, one question has been asked, guys, remember, from network layer to this layer, from the network layer in, I think, get this was question has been asked. Okay, this layer to this layer. Okay, how many types of how many communication happen, one data, if suppose data going from here to the here network layer, then how many devices it has to be passed through. Okay, so this question has been asked something similar to that, but this is not a, I can say, this is not our main discussion. Okay, so once I'll start network layer, I'll explain those questions. What is exactly is that? Okay, so you understood, right? What is the peer-to-peer communication protocols? So peer-to-peer process is just like communicating one device, same layer to another device, same layer. Okay, this is called the peer-to-peer. Okay, and if we go from sender to down, okay, this is called the encapsulation. And if we go from up to here physical to the device B, this is called the decapsulation. I'll explain you, okay, one by one. Okay, so this is what exactly I wanted to explain you guys. How do OSI layer communicate with each other? There are three things you need to understand. What the vertical communication, one is the horizontal communication. Okay, vertical communication will happen in same device. Okay, just like if we have application layer, okay, application layer will communicate to the which layer, guys? Session layer, right? See, I'll explain you in this application layer come to presentation. Okay, so application, see, I told you that two way of communication. One is the horizontal and one is vertical. Vertical layer communicate with this. Application layer communicate to the presentation layer. Presentation layer communicate to the session layer, and session layer communicate to the transport layer. Transport layer communicate network, and network layer communicate data, and data link layer physical layers. Okay, so every layer, when the data passes from here to here, here to here, every layer add their headers. Means they are adding their extra information to the data. Why they are adding the extra information? Because every layer is having set of rules or protocols that data has to be qualified to send to the next layer. Okay, just like this, if you have seen this one, okay, I told you, right, if it is going through the, if our data is, where is cursor? Okay, if our data in HTTP, okay, application layer, so application layer having different protocols. But if it is going to the presentation layer also has to add their extra information. Might be they need to compression data, they need encoding and encryptions of data. Okay, so these layers they are going to add it. Okay, so adding the information is called like encapsulation of the data. Every layer it passes, okay, it will add. If it going to the session layer, then session layer will add, might be the session into that particular data. Okay, and then also it can be add to the header will I'll let you know what are the headers they are going to add. Okay, so this is the presentation layer. Okay, presentation layer, then session layer, okay, then transport layer, then network layer, then data link layer, then physical layer. Okay, physical layer. So this way communication happen. This is called the vertical communication, guys. Okay, so each layer communicate with adjacent layer. That means transport layer only communicate to the session and network layer. They are not going to communicate with other layer. Okay, upward provide the services to the above layer, means this layer provide to services to the this layer, and downwards use the services that are below layer. Okay, so this network layer, transport layer uses services from network layer. Okay, transport layer uses the network layer services, for examples. Okay, and presentation layer provide a formatted data to application layer. Okay, and we cannot skip one layer to another layer. Okay, this is the important thing, guys. You need to remember all those things because many question has been asked. Okay, so might be the question will be asked for the vertical communication, how vertical communication happen. Okay, then horizontal communication I explained you, right? Peer to peer, each single layer will communicate the same layer to the another device called the peer to peer. Okay, they are communicate logically across the different network, just like transport layer from sender side communicate to the transport layer from the receiver side. Network layer other device, this is called the peer to peer communication. Okay, why we need a layer, guys? Why we need OSI layer? Okay, because we need a layer, okay, to make sure it follow the set of rules, okay, that has been set up for the applications or presentation or session layer. Every layers having a set of protocols, and our data has to qualify these protocols. Okay, if I talk about this transmission control protocols, okay, So basically we have a two network standard. One is the IP, Internet Protocol, and one is the transmitter TCP protocols. Okay, that define the internet. Internet will be defined by these two network standard. Okay, this IP means Internet Protocol will define how computer can receive data from other device on mutually connected network. If we have a network, so how this one data from one computer to another computer, how we are going to receive this data. Okay, these are the set of rules which has been defined to the network layer. Okay, and TCP define how more reliable this channel. That means if we are sending data one device to another device, how this how secure this system is there, means no third person is accessing that data, right? So that will define by the TCP. That TCP is more reliable than UDP. Okay, so basically TCP will make sure your data is reliable, no security breaches happen. Okay, your data is going from one computer to another device without interpreting by anybody. Okay, so you can read this theory which I have already explained you. Okay, I just wanted to explain these things, guys. There are 3 points which I have written. Okay, so I'll explain you from sender. See, from sender side, when we go from application layer to the presentation layer, okay, this is the data. This is called the peer-to-peer communication. Okay, data is there for application layer. When we go down, the presentation layer will add the presentation header. Okay, what exactly the header they are adding? What does mean? What is this header? Header, guys, is the extra information that added in the front of data that help to addressing. Okay, like every headers having some kind of data. Okay, in that data what they are defining, they might have that address of that particular data, they might have the route, in which route they are following, they might have the error controlling the CRC checksum. Okay, they might have sequencing protocol identifications. Okay, and each layer add only its relevant control information. Remember this, guys. Okay, every layers adding their control informations that is relevant. Okay, only the data link layer, every layer add their headers, but only data link layer add the data header and then data trailer. That will help you to check the error. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so what I was saying, so this has been added. Okay, so physical layer add, presentation layer add the presentation header. You understood what is header, right? What we need to run. So in that, basically we are adding also, if we require to compress the data, encode and encrypt the data. Okay, then we have this presentation layer. Presentation header is also there, but session header is also there. Might be added the session. Okay, so then communication happen from here to here, and then ph sh, and then transport header. Also transport header, basically TCP UDP, how this mode of transportation is there. Okay, we need reliable or we need a faster. Okay, then we have a ph sh, th and nh. Okay, so network layer means it will add the routing of the protocols, routing of the data, how the data will travel from one network to another network, one device to another device. Okay, then we have a data link layer. Okay, guys, here we have a dh, data header, ns, network header is also there, transport header is also there, sh, ph, and then dt means data, uh, data link layer or trailer. Okay, what trailer will do, this basically will help you to identify the error. Okay, so we are adding to check the errors if we have error in the data. Okay, physical link layer, we have everything. Okay, so basically here we are communicating, we are sending actual data in the form of bit. Okay, through the cables or through the physical devices, fiber optics. Okay, so from here to here, this is called, guys, encapsulation. Encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation means we are adding one more extra information once data passes through the each layers. Okay, and when the data, actual data will transport from physical layer to the another device to physical layer, each layer start decapsulation. Decapsulation means each layer will start removing their headers. Okay, so if we come to the physical layer, okay, then when we go to navigate to data link layer, whatever the data we have, right, that is going to remove the header of that particular layer. Okay, so that means data link layer will remove the header of the data. So once we go data to network layer, okay, you will see this DT and DS will get removed automatically, because it's going to remove the layer and de-encapsulate the whatever we have already encapsulated, added the extra bit of information. Okay, it is start remove. It's like, guys, if I talk about the uh, examples, okay, so how basically happen. Okay, if I talk about the examples, you know, right, we have a sender and we have a receiver, guys, and if there is if there is an envelope is there, if we have a message bit of data, okay, in the bit of data, what exactly we'll do, we write some message piece of paper, we keep it as a envelope, okay, and then we keep this data, that is message, into envelope, and then we went to the post office will do, they add extra information. Okay, just like in the extra information, they will add what they will add sender address, okay, receiver address, and then area pin codes. Okay, so the extra informations, once it will reach to the receiver side, what will do, it will remove these all those things, it will remove the envelope, and then it will found the data. Same way here, guys, here we are just adding extra bit of information. When as soon as it will reach it to the different layer, it start removing those layers or those data, okay, those headers, I can say. See, if you go to the network transport network layer, will header will get removed or encapsulated, okay, and then each layer will do the same thing. And actually, when we go to the application layer, then we will find the actual data. Okay, so each layers, whatever the sessions or whatever the protocols they have added, we removed to the into the receiver side. Okay, this is what exactly I written here. Okay, what does means this in a higher layer, each layer of the sender side, this side they are talking about. Okay, add its information to the message received from the above layer to the entire packet just below the layer. So that means whatever the message they have got it, suppose presentation layer got this message, so this message will be there and it will add the extra message, that is presentation layer header. Okay, so like that. So data start from the application layer and each layer receive the data from the above layer. Before passing down, it add its own control information. Every layer having different control information, like sessions layer having TCP is there, okay, for transport layer, network for routing, presentation for encryption, description, decryptions, encapsulation, sorry, compressions. Okay, entire modified data is passed through the next lower layer, and this is step downward movement called the encapsulation. You understood, guys? Okay, and then I explained you, right, what is this header. Each layer adds the extra bit of information, this is called the header, which I explain you. Okay, then when we go to different layer, guys, okay, what exactly this will do, what is tailor is just a CRC checking the error. Okay, which I have already explained you, physical address, logical addressing, routings. Okay, so header are added at the label of the message, this one, and header is added to the data link layer. Okay, till data link, header is not going to add for the physical layer, guys, you understand. From 2 to 6 question has been asked, you should know this important point. Okay, two layers is there, both header and tailor for the uh, data link layer. Okay, so every layer add a single information, single header, but there are two headers, one is header and one is tailor. For the data link layer, tailor basically is nothing, just to checking the error, CRC there. Okay, then at the physical layer, actual communication will happen, direct communication happen through the LAN cable, or through the wireless, or through the physical, or through the fiber optics. Okay, and because sender streams of the bit to the receiver side. Okay, physical layer doesn't have any headers. Okay, they don't know the addressing, no error control, it's only deal with the bits, that is 0 1 through the electrical, optical, or radio signals. Okay, physical layer doesn't understand the data, it only transmit the signal. Okay, so you should know all those small informations. Okay, so once you understood those information, this is the basic, guys. When I start from the physical to each layers, I'll explain you each and every bit of information for these layers. Okay, so don't worry, just this video for the basic concept, and you should know how the communication happen. Okay, and how each once data passes through each layers, what exactly these layer will do with that particular data. At the physical layer, entire package is converted into the one form that can be transferred to the receiver. Okay, complete encapsulation of the data. Okay, electrical signal, light pulses or whatever the way of communication is there, based on that it will get converted and actual transmission phase will happen. Okay. Okay, basically once the receiver side, each process completes by layer to receive and delete the message of the data. So once it will receive here, each layer will delete this message. This message will get deleted. Each layers when it passes, okay. Each layers and actual data will get received by the receiver side. Okay. So this is called a decapsulation. I told you, right? And data move from layer 1 to layer 7. And means layer 1, this is layer 1, this is layer 7. Okay, this will okay. So read the header, remove it and delete it. It will first read it, understand, and this to remove and delete, then passes remaining data upward direction, and reverse process will be encapsulation. This is the same thing which I explained you. Okay, very important, guys. This is the for IBPS SO. If you know all those things, you should be very good in this. Okay, this is the basic concept. Okay, so in each OSI layer, senders add its own header. Okay, every layers sender had add its own header from the above layer, whatever they got it. This is called the encapsulation, you should know, and passes to downward. At the receiver side, each layer remove its header. This is called the decapsulation, and to finally deliver the original message to the application. Okay, what we call encapsulation, sender side is encapsulation to adding extra bit of header, receiver side decapsulation to removing extra bit of header, and header will add from 2 to 6, and from second layer, that data link layer, add one more header that is called the trailer, data trailer. Okay, this is for the error checking. And in physical layer, we don't add that header. We basically having the bit that is from 0 and 1 to send to the another receiver side. Okay, so that's all, guys, from today's session. I hope you like it. Okay, you understood the concept. If you still face any issues, whatever I have explained, you can please ping me into the comment box, or you can message me on my Telegram channel. Okay, thank you for today's lecture.